Okay, I'd like to call the facilities committee to order. It's 4:14 p.m. We just had a tour of the renovations that are going to be done to accommodate the consolidation of the 7th and 8th grade into the high school. Thank you very much, Matt and Tom, for taking us on that tour. Looks like progress is going well, and the timeline sounds great. So if we can review the minutes of December 4th, if I can get a motion on them.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion?
Good.
Any, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Open items. I know, Jamie, you've got a growing list of open items. So
That's for facility, that's for finance.
Oh, finance,
Yeah,
okay.
I could not find any open items.
For facilities?
On the facilities, I'm not aware of it.
Okay, great. Monthly reports,
Okay, I can quickly go through this.
okay?
Special Education Expendable Trust Fund, we have $219,666.67. Under the Capital Improvement and Maintenance Capital Reserve Fund, and by the way, these are for December 31st balances. We have, for that fund, we have $147,039.18.
Say that again, please.
$147,090.
And that's the revolving fund that comes from things like renting?
No, this is the Capital Reserve Fund.
Thank you, okay.
So it's I'm sorry, I just zoomed in. So it's $147,039.18. Now the revolving fund that the superintendent just mentioned, as of December 31st, the balance in there is $191,769.71. The $20,000 above is a prior purchase that we made to upgrade certain Windows 7 machines to Windows 10. And that was something we approved months ago. Okay, that's it.
All right. Moving on to the facilities alteration request, swipe card access for high school elevator.
Okay, so what this would do is use our existing swipe card system, and it would use a proximity card to activate the elevator during school hours. Right now, what we're finding is that kids are using the elevator and they're doing vaping in the elevator and other unnecessary things, and it's very difficult to monitor the elevator. Once those doors close, if there's not an administrator in there, you can't see what's going on. Now, a swipe card, what it would do is it would activate the elevator, and then they could use it once the swipe card's been activated. After school hours, we can make it so that the elevator gets used at any moment. Okay.
So how is that going to eliminate the vaping? If the swipe card is exercised in the morning when school opens and the elevator's accessible?
That's not how that works.
We give the kid with the crutches the swipe card.
Okay, so nobody else can
You don't
use
get
the
to use it,
elevator?
that's the problem. We need to shut, from when I was hired, I needed to shut that elevator down, and I couldn't find out an easy way to do it. Matt came up with the idea of the swipe card, I thought it was brilliant.
Okay.
Because I saw that when I was using it.
But the goal here is to keep kids
All
from,
the time.
Oh, okay.
the goal is to keep kids from vaping in the elevator.
Well, actually,
No, it's just to keep kids, there's way more than vaping that can go on in there. I really just don't want them in the elevator. It's an unsupervised, unstructured environment at the high school.
Okay.
Kids could be doing all kinds of things. I don't have evidence, so I'm not gonna say on record what could be done, but I can simply say that vaping is only one of many possible infractions.
So using the existing swipe card system, there isn't currently a swipe card unit on that.
Correct.
So that's what the cost for phones are for.
Yes.
I looked at a camera.
Yeah, I was thinking a camera would handle the vaping problem, wireless.
I don't know if it's any more or less expensive, but just curious.
Yeah.
No, that's a great idea. I hadn't thought of that.
But the thing is that, the kids are just gonna go somewhere else to vape.
Well, because now you can.
Excuse me, I'm not there. They're gonna go somewhere else to vape, and if the idea is to stop the vaping, then the wireless camera is gonna catch them, and then you can bring them in for discussion.
So I'm not, hang one second.
Yeah,
So the goal isn't the vaping. The
okay,
goal is that the elevator, that was an example of an issue
Yeah.
that can happen in the elevator. So
Okay.
I don't wanna get hung up on that.
all right,
What I wanna get clear about is that the elevator is wide open all day long. It's a completely enclosed, unstructured environment. The swipe card just stops it. So anyone who has a disability and needs to use the elevator can get a swipe card in the morning. So if I break my leg on Monday night, I'll get one Tuesday morning.
Okay.
If you put a camera in there, then we have to still police it.
Yeah.
So administrators are gonna spend tons of time watching video cameras of what goes on. It doesn't shut it down. So in other words, they're not gonna just sit there and watch the video camera to stop it. What they're gonna do is
Well, I
look at
wasn't
it.
thinking they'd watch it in real time, it's something that you'd review.
Right, it would be reviewed based on, but who's gonna report what happens in the elevator?
Yeah.
No one, because the two kids in the elevator who did it are in collusion. So whatever that is. Now, certainly I'll say openly, the biggest concern that I have is that's a perfect spot to transfer marijuana.
Mhm.
The elevator's perfect. If I could put cameras in the bathrooms, I would. It's not legal. So we are working on vape detection devices for the bathrooms, but we can't find one that's reliable yet. And I'm sure that there's a lot of money to be made, so some company's gonna make somebody's gonna make a vaping detecting device that senses the steam or the odor or the chemicals in the vape pen.
I know of one that works very well,
Do you?
but I won't talk about it on
Yeah, you call them camera. Oh, yeah, it's a separate.
We can use that and it's pretty rock solid.
Great, because Brian's been looking at different models and he hasn't felt. So something that would detect vaping in the bathrooms would be great. My concern is just that the elevator's a liability on so many fronts. So I would prefer to go with the key card, that's my opinion. Larry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
That's all right, I was just gonna say, cameras on elevators are a major maintenance problem.
Oh, they're not good, like they
They're
don't.
not good, because the shuffling up and down, you have a tendency to shake wires.
Oh, that's why I was thinking of wireless, so it wouldn't, it just.
Wireless doesn't work either, because then you end up.
Concrete walls, I don't know.
Cameras in
Well, it
elevators,
doesn't sound like cameras are gonna be the solution.
I don't think so. That was my.
How much, I'm sorry, I can't remember how much this request was.
I had to open it.
2,000.
Oh,
That's all.
Take care of the pennies and the dollars will take care of themselves.
yes.
Okay, so do you need a motion on this?
Yes,
I'll move that we authorize $3,000 for the expense of the swipe card access to the elevators.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you guys.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next one is design new security entrance for Memorial School. Basically, this authorizes me to engage with the architect that we selected before to design and come up with a list of specifications that we're going to hand to prospective bidders in redoing the security entrance at Memorial School.
Do you want me to talk about this?
Well, I want you to talk about it, yes, because,
But we
There
need a
was a-
motion first.
oh yeah,
Okay.
motion to,
I move that we open up the discussion for the design of the security entrance for Memorial School.
second that. Okay, yeah, there was a pre-existing design for that going way back. That was part of that $4 million renovation. And Tom, I know you went there and came up with a different design and put a lot of effort into that. There was substantially less money. So if you could talk about that as
Sure.
well.
So I'll just draw a little picture on the board here, because it's easier than talking. Please, my penmanship is not, not excellent.
Was
So-
our teacher?
Can you do right angles?
I got a copper line ruler that runs like that.
Great. I had a feeling that you had that, buddy. All right, so there's basically right now at the front of Memorial, there are a block of offices that look essentially like this with doors. And there's a door here and there's an entrance here. So if we're gonna reorganize and move everyone around, it does
Is
take,
this the front or the side?
this is the front of the building where the parking lot goes around,
Right,
right in front of the building, right? So the other road is over here.
right.
Does that give you the perspective, Jim?
Yeah.
Doors go right through the classroom, one to the other to the other.
Yeah, it's kind of funky. They're tiny.
Okay.
They're offices. They're not really classrooms.
Yep.
So they're like a third of a classroom.
But no egress on the other side?
Well, that's what's interesting. So there is in some spots and not in others. So there are windows here. Let me just show you this whole thing and then I'll answer questions. How's that, Jim? Do you get the perspective though? That's important.
Sure.
Okay. So So essentially there's a whole part of the building over here that was originally set to be the main office, and the people who were proposing it wanted to build walls, take out walls, ruin all this classroom space. I went through in 10 minutes and was like, no, we're gonna put the secretary here, a window here with bulletproof glass, and locked doors here that have the strike.
Yeah.
So that you can't get through. So you come in, I always think of everything, what's it look like for students or parents, right? So Jamie, you're dropping your son off, you come in the door, you talk to the secretary here. If you're going into the building for some kind of meeting, she buzzes you through once you get your sticker, right? If you're going to a meeting with the principal or something, you come in here, the principal's secretary is here, and then the principal is here, and the assistant principal's in the other end of the building, which makes a lot of sense in terms of the general layout. We'll put guidance in the main office where it is now, right? So guidance, the assistant principal, they'll all be down in that wing.
That's the whole footprint of this area, the area we're talking about.
Yep. No walls, no moving anything. All we do is put in doors back here. I think there are two. I think this one already has one. These windows are the other form
And
of
there's a
egress.
hallway on the other side?
Yeah. Yep, there's a hallway over here.
So that's where you come in from the other side?
Yeah,
Okay.
close.
Right,
But I don't have that memorized because I only focused on the modifications.
right,
But in terms of the layout, originally these three rooms, this was the form of egress, but we felt like if it was administrative in nature, they needed to get out if there was ever a safety. The cost of a couple of doors is worth the safety addition.
and how do you get into the footprint on the left side?
Yeah, that would happen back here.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is
there's a
that
door here.
existing or?
There's a door, yes, and there's a door here that would need to be locked from the out, this way.
Yeah.
And I'd probably, what's that?
Or removed.
Or removed, one or the other blocked. And then this one here, we may wanna look at the type of door, see what that is, but the reality is it went from a $260,000 proposal to under 60.
Yeah.
Cause we're talking about adding some doors and things, and I just wanted so just to be transparent, the architect is not developing the plan, they're speccing this out.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've already developed the plan.
yeah.
Yes.
We're not asking the architect to analyze the space.
My only concern with this, having this entry in the front, is there's very limited room for vehicles in that circle.
Mhm.
So you're gonna have the buses pull in there now and they drop
No, they pull in over here.
over here. So so the kids are gonna come around?
Nothing, no, the kids will still go in over
This
here.
way?
This is where the buses are.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So,
Oh, it's okay, just click it.
So only other vehicles are gonna come through that circle?
Yeah, excuse me for just 1 second.
just take,
Back
In
to
the
the
morning,
Yeah.
go ahead.
in the morning, you had a row of cars that come in here
Right,
presently.
Yep.
And then they drop off. The people are dropping them off directly, not on buses or what have you. The buses are coming in on this side.
yeah, I live right near there, and that's what I see too.
Yeah. So there is drop off here presently, but you've got teachers sitting here, and you have these doors open, I would presume at that point in time for load up.
You can do that.
So I wouldn't see that as being an issue. But what you don't have presently at Memorial is, they're buzzing you in without being able to see you.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Right, and that's how it exists
Yeah,
today.
oh, wow.
Now, they know most of the voices or the names or what have you that are coming on a regular basis, so, and there's people in the hall generally speaking, so it's not a horrible situation, but it's not ideal.
So we don't have to do any changes to the parking,
No, I don't think we do.
so it's pretty much straightforward.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So
It
I,
basically gives you a box, a retaining box. But
So-
somebody coming in can't get any further without permission.
I just need approval to start the design and specking out this. So when I can hand out a
And-
design to.
Yeah, and,
So actually, you need a motion to amend my original
or
motion.
a new motion.
No, otherwise you have to put the old
Okay.
motion up first.
So when does this need to be done by?
This is next fiscal year.
When does the plan need to be done by?
It sounds like he's gonna be done in a few
Okay.
minutes.
Yeah, he's coming in right now.
Okay,
He's locked out.
I don't wanna try to do this in the middle school. No, come on in. I don't wanna do this during the middle school transition, okay? However, there is some, why don't you talk about time?
Yeah, my question is, when does the plan need to be done by?
So my feeling is that we are reorganizing this building and moving everyone over there next summer. This is just doors and windows, it's not hard, I'd like it done next summer. I'd like the principal out front, I'd like the changes to happen all at once. because it's way easier to get them settled in one time than to move them all around again. And it's not big money. So it's, the other thing is that as some of the parents who have anxiety about the reorganization would really like this done, it's not an expensive carrot to.
Yeah. I would just like just a letter from the architect saying, giving a range of what their design is gonna cost.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, if it's over 60 grand, I wanna talk, cause I'll tell you, there's a point where I would say, I'd call somebody and say, okay, you do the cut. I'll project manage this thing, it's 4 doors.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't need to
Rather
pay a
than
project
giving an
manager to
approval
do
to
that.
just do the design,
Yeah, we just
as
want
an
to for the
interim
design.
step, we'd like to know how much is this gonna involve.
So
Right.
it's essentially designed and spec'd out for the.
Well, what we wanna do is we wanna put out a request for proposals and actually get bids. And then we'll know what it really will cost and we can
Yeah.
decide what to do.
I don't wanna hand out, like, this is what we're thinking,
Right,
you know?
yeah, no, you need that to go to bid.
Yes.
Yeah, we
But-
wanna actually get bids and then decide.
But before we tell the architect, yeah, do it, we wanna know what they're gonna cost us.
Oh, I see, so you wanna know what the architect would charge to draw this up.
Right,
So do you feel like we don't even need to have an architect draw it up, we can just?
no,
Well,
I think we do, because
you gotta have
we
it
wanna spec it out and have everybody bid it
Yeah.
at the same time.
Okay, alright, I thought you were saying you wanted to know if the architect could give us an estimate of what it would cost to do the work.
No, I think bidding it out is the way to go.
Okay.
Yeah, those are real numbers, we've had architects give us estimates
Yes.
before, and that's what that $4 million was.
Fair enough.
Yep,
Okay.
I think
So,
we'll
I
get
think
together
we-
and break down some
I
walls, but
think we need a motion to,
Okay, let me amend my motion to request an architect to, you're gonna have to have drawings, so I have draw the plans.
Yeah.
And spec out the project.
Yes.
And prior to the job, submit an estimated cost of his time and work,
Oh, this time and work?
on his time.
of his cost, what his
What
cost
his
will
cost
be,
will be.
what his cost will be to do the work that Larry's prescribed.
Gotcha. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second. That was quick.
Okay, I'll second that.
Yeah, it's all good.
No.
now we're at all in favor, he already
Oh,
seconded it.
you seconded it, okay.
Yeah.
Let's say vote, all in favor?
Okay, so the question I have is,
Yeah.
just in terms of expediency, if Matt gets back a quote from the architect, like that's a reasonable amount of money, can he email that to you and get like a go-ahead that then you report out at the next
I don't see any issue.
facilities committee meeting, like you could do like a,
We
you
know
know, a
what it
yay or
is.
nay type of thing, and if everyone's yay and it's $3,000, then we're good, if it's 30,000, then we're gonna come, I mean,
Right. Yeah.
you know, if it's 30,000, I'm drawing some pictures with a ruler.
Right.
Yeah.
For real,
Right.
Okay,
right, I'll get Steve over there, we'll tape measure that thing and we'll draw it, I mean, this is not,
Yeah, it shouldn't be that.
yeah.
It shouldn't.
I'd like to,
Solid.
Like you said, a
I do.
ruler.
Alright, let's do it.
okay, I'd like to follow that same process with all of these projects, so we don't just give them carte blanche and the architect just charges what they want, they have to tell us what they're gonna charge in
Perfect.
advance.
Now that I know what you're looking for, I'll make sure that that's included
Okay,
in the request.
okay,
All right. The next one is the Memorial School washer and dryer. Currently, there isn't a washer and dryer at Memorial School. Sometimes we have kids that come in that need to have their clothes cleaned. Sometimes the kids soil themselves in the school, you know, during the school day. You know, you can just think of it as a scenario, it probably has happened. So what's happened is the PTO has offered to purchase, and they actually went out and did it before the principal approved the project. And so there's a washer and dryer sitting over there that needs to get hooked up. Unfortunately, the location that they figured out where to put it requires plumbing and electrical, okay? And so this is requesting a modification to add plumbing and electrical to the building.
for $2,700.
Yes, for $2,700.
It's important,
Washer and dryer?
it's important to note, it's in a tricky spot, but it's important to note that, they did that to save money to use for other things because they wanted to grab the holiday sales. So they grabbed the washer and dryer on the Ryan
The
came to me and
PTO.
he's like, I'm really sorry, and I'm like, no, don't, they're just trying to help.
Yeah.
Right, but
Well, why don't they raise the 2,700?
well, I think they're tiny, just a
Okay,
little PTO, you know,
all right,
I mean, they
What
could
do we
ask
do
for
today? We don't have a washer and dryer?
We
nothing,
had nothing.
they've been talking about this for a couple of years.
okay, so again, this is
So what's
nice, but it's not urgent. what other options do we have for the plumbing other than what, the plumber proposed in terms of, I mean, they talked about going up through the roof and across the,
Yeah, I believe they're going up over a wall,
okay, is there a way to go through a wall?
cause I think that's a classroom. I think what I'd like
And
to
then
do
boxing,
is to change the authority to go and see if I can go find another place for it.
okay,
That's less expensive.
Yeah.
Okay, but I still would like to get authorization to move forward. Maybe, what we could do is authorize me to go find another location, okay, at a reduced price. And that if we need to go and there's no other location, I'll email you and get, approval, or we can get approval at the next meeting.
I just wanna say that, you know, $1,000 for plumbing goes in a minute. I mean, a minute. I had some work done at my camp recently, and in fact, the heating guy was the guy on the phone. I could not believe it. HVAC. I'm going into HVAC, plumbing, and electrical. Y'all, good luck, because I can't believe what they're getting.
we're getting, we got pricing from one vendor.
Yeah.
We've got a suggestion from one vendor,
Okay, we only have one vendor for commercial plumbing, heating, and
but there's a
electrical.
lot of vendors out there.
Yeah,
Do you have one?
They're all over the place, sure.
Okay.
But, and I'm not saying that I'm saying the first step is what Matt suggested, to go and look at the location.
Okay.
And see if that's the best place to have it, and if that's the most reasonable, then that's the cost. Or, you know, maybe we can get it for $2,200, I don't know that that's worth the time.
Well, don't
But
forget,
it's
when
more
you're
the
talking
location.
about plumbing and electrical, you've got to have sewage, you've also got to have water.
Well, that's the problem, the
Hot water.
drainage, the drainage.
And the drainage is the big problem.
yeah.
And electrical, you've got to have 220 volts.
Well, the key
Right
is,
off the
it's,
bat.
yeah, it's gotta be where it's gonna work for the school.
Yeah.
I still struggle with what we're gonna wash and dryer for. So let's say the kids saw yourself, your example, with a naked kid in the room. What are you,
Yeah.
You're gonna buy clothes for the kids now?
How do they handle that now?
It's bad. So they,
But it's been that way
Sometimes the
since
kids
that
come
building
to
was built,
school
what's the issue?
and they need to have their clothes clean.
Okay,
Okay, it's an unfortunate situation. And we need to be also having the same discussion with Beatty School.
oh, just to be clear, the high school has 2 or 3 washing machines. There's an equity. And the PTO raised the money for this because they thought it was such a significant problem. I mean, they
It's
certainly
a health
don't just,
problem, nothing else.
what's that?
It's a health problem, health and safety problem, right off the bat.
I'm not really
I'm
comfortable
looking
that
at-
our schools don't have washing. I guess I see it the other way. It's a problem that we don't have. Like,
Well, I'm looking
We're
at
dealing
the
with hundreds of
soils,
people.
soils themselves.
yeah.
And then you end up, what are you doing?
Well,
Well, that's my, so you take their clothes off, now what do you do with them? They got no
That's-
clothes on.
that's
They're in
right,
school.
right. So like the nurse's office usually has some donated clothes for kids in those situations that they could wear. And in this instance, they would wash the clothes and then give them back to the child instead of putting them in a bag and sending them home with them at the end of the day. Right? And we're dealing with really little kids, but they won't be all really little kids in the future. My point is, I'm just a little bit curious as to how we've been running 3 schools without a washing machine all this time. That's just odd. Most public schools have a washing machine and a dryer in them.
Oh, yeah. that's
So-
fine.
Yeah.
Little dinky.
Memorial,
You know, half my
Memorial
money.
School is going to be 4th through 6th grade.
I was thinking had robes that they put the kids on.
Are 4th through 6th graders surrounding themselves?
No, but it
Right back to
It-
school.
I'm just trying to, I'm just.
yeah, high school
I'm just-
kids aren't soiling themselves. We have 3 washers and dryers up here. I mean, it's
What are they used for?
all kinds of things.
They're not
Sports
used for-
clothes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we don't send the clothes up to the,
Well, we're talking about that actually.
Okay.
That's funny. We've been talking about whether or not it'd be cheaper and more efficient. I guess my point is this. Let's have Matt, I agree with you that Matt should do some homework.
right,
I also feel like plumbing is really expensive.
right.
And we know that, you know.
Right.
And remember, it's plumbing and electrical, not just plumbing.
Well,
But
I know Matt's been around real estate, he may see a different way to do it, that's all I'm asking.
And honestly, I'm gonna take a look too, because I'm in
Okay.
it as well. I'm kind of,
Yeah.
it's a good thing for me. But Jamie, on your question, I don't really know schools that don't have a washer and dryer. All kinds of things come up, right? All kinds of things, jackets, puking. It just seems odd to me that we don't have that at these schools. So when Ryan started working on it, I was certainly completely supportive of it. I mean, he went this extra step. In my mind, if he requested a washer and a dryer and the hookup, I would have gone forward with that. To get the washer and dryer for free from the PTO was great. But I didn't realize at the time that it was gonna be $2,700 to hook it up. I got a little sticker shock on that, you know?
So I do.
It's kind of like what you were saying with the silver, you know, you get stuff, but it comes with
There's
strings.
a lot of stress.
Yeah.
So let's see if there's a better way to hook it up. Before we authorize the money.
So what if we, then just make a motion, then they have, what we said?
We don't need a motion, Matt can do this. Yeah.
All right.
Perfect.
So you're gonna direct.
We're gonna table this for the next meeting.
Yeah, exactly.
We just wanted to kind of get it going today.
Okay, is that all right with you guys?
That's just struggling with writing.
Yeah.
He's still on that.
Clearly, I'm the odd man out, but
Yeah.
okay.
All right, I'm gonna try to knock through the next 4 items and the traffic study in 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, so mag locks for the high school cafeteria. So for the camera, we did a tour of the high school and we looked at the doors to the cafeteria. We went through the ideas. Right now the doors are unlocked during the school day, and we'd like to put the mag locks on there and tie them to the fire alarm. All right, I'm gonna go to the next one.
What was the amount on that one, Matt?
Sorry, the amount?
10,000.
Yeah, I think it's about $2,500 per door.
And there are 4 doors, Matt?
There's 6 doors.
6 doors. So
Yeah.
how many are we gonna do to start off?
I think what we found during our tour, Jim Baker brought up the idea that one set of the doors needs to be turned around, so it's swinging the other way. So really, I really need to cost this out better.
Okay.
Okay?
And maybe we can talk about phasing.
Yeah, we can phase this in. Okay?
Does that sound good?
All right, the next one is convert room 126, which is the book room, the book storage room, to a conference room and a classroom. Currently, the room is over 1,000 square feet, and for the number of kids that would be in that room, I need to reduce the square footage. And to do that, I can put in a storage room and take up some of the square footage, or make that storage room a conference room. Okay? I also need to put in a couple of windows for a second egress on the backside. Currently, there are no windows in that room. Okay? The next one is add.
So is that just a heads up at this point?
Yeah, that's a heads up.
Okay, so I would like you 3 to tour that so that you can see
Yeah,
that this is a massive book room that was completely underused that I found when I started working with Brian on moving the middle school here. And so they want to make this room into a room for STEM projects, because those are big items that need storage, like the hydroponic plant system that you saw last year.
Yeah.
We don't have a place to put those things, so we need a place where kids can work on those things and where we can put them. The 2 problems that came up were the egress and the fact that it's actually so big that the room's too big to be a classroom. It has to be cut down, and so we have to build another room within the room to make it work, because it's huge.
Yeah.
So it's really, we're not using, it was a storage room for books that weren't being used. So my response was, well, if they're not being used, get them out of here and we'll use this as part of the reorganization. So this is, I just wanted for the camera to be clear that this is part of the reorganization plan that was a little smaller piece of the pie that didn't need to be discussed at a high level early on.
What are you doing with the books?
Well, what's interesting is that Brian, the first thing I said is if you're not using them for more than 2 or 3 years, let's follow the policy and dispose of them. The second thing that I said to them is, let's find another place to store them, because there's plenty of space in this building. So the SAU office moved out of the building, and part of that was that we took our things out of storage. There's another storage area that can be utilized for the books. But then Brian was like, well, we've got a whole bunch of lockers that no kids are using, and they're actually storing some of the books in the lockers.
When we do get rid of books, how do we get rid of them?
There's a policy that we follow for that.
Okay.
You don't just throw them away, though, do you?
No, you can't do that.
Okay, so I'm gonna move to the next item, which is adding safety glass film to the existing high school glass.
Oh, you missed the cameras.
Oh, I'm sorry, the cameras in the high school auditorium. So basically, the idea is to add 1 or 2 cameras.
Just a minute. Don't worry. Policy doesn't meet until 5:45.
Oh, I thought it was 5:30.
5:30.
5:30, okay. I was getting a little nervous there for a minute.
Oh, okay. So, there was an incident in the auditorium. There was an assault between 2 adults in the auditorium, and we don't have video of it. Okay, so we're asking
How
for,
big was this event?
What event was it?
It was the middle school, play.
Hundreds?
Was there a police person there?
I believe there was, but maybe not within sight. There's just no video of the event.
So the auditorium is this is not about the there's two separate issues here. One is the auditorium, which is like the fact that we have a light board that you have to use a floppy disk to run.
Mhm.
That's a big problem. That's separate. This is about video surveillance in the building. And there's no video surveillance in the auditorium, and that's a huge concern for me. I'm here for this. This is my real concern tonight, was like, we have to do something about that, because the fact that this occurred and we didn't have a video of it, we had an assault 2 years ago in the gym, that if I didn't have it on video, the guy would still be on property. He assaulted one person, and then 2 people intervened, and he assaulted both of them before he left the gym. So when he calls me and says, I want my trespassing order lifted, not gonna happen. So I can't do anything without the video, and the auditorium is a huge, regularly used space. So, for example, I really, 2 cameras is light. There should be one shining on the side of the stage as well, right? So we're only gonna get 2 vantage points from these cameras, but it's the bare minimum.
Do
Because
you need cameras that will work in low light as well as, because those auditoriums are always lit?
I have not spec'd out the cameras. I'm just letting you know, this is not asking for permission. I'm
this is
letting
just
you-
an update.
Okay,
Okay,
I just
Yeah.
want you to know right now, I've let the camera company go, all right?
Yep.
We're trying to come up with a different firm, and we're getting quotes.
Well, and I'll piggyback on this, and I know that this wasn't technically on the agenda, and we can add it to a future agenda, but we are also going to need updated cameras on the back of the AT school. We had an incident where a student was injured last week. I watched the video, and the video literally looks like little black blobs running around the backyard. I can't discern anything.
Yeah.
They're just old and worn out. It did no good. So I certainly, video cameras are a little bit tricky, because in this day and age, in the litigious society that we live in, people are expecting us to have videos of things. From a managerial perspective, I'm concerned about the auditorium, because it's such a high cost venue. It's the cornerstone of the school, and if something was vandalized in there, I want a video of that. The playground, we need to have a couple of really good cameras on the playground. I'm not gonna go crazy and put every possible vantage point of a K2 playground, but we need to at least be able to discern who the people are and see the whole playground. So cameras are expensive, and we're gonna have to take this over time, and I certainly would encourage Matt to also explore whatever grant monies might be out there to help us with cameras.
Absolutely.
Technology in general, maybe we can find some E-rate stuff or something else, I don't know.
Absolutely.
great.
So it's just a heads up that stuff's cooking.
Now, the next one is add safety glass film to the existing high school glass. Currently, the glass at the high school can be smashed and gain entry to the high school through smashing the windows. All this film does is it prevents people, if they can break the window but they can't enter. It's like safety glass on your car, okay? You know how you can break the window on your windshield,
As a family.
but you can't go through the windshield, okay?
There's another thing to write right there. I noticed in the new principal's office down here in the middle school, that's just regular window glass. If somebody was really intent coming in with firearms, those windows would be zero protection. You put safety glass on one
This
side.
is ballistic glass.
Ballistic
Ballistic film.
we're gonna put that on those windows.
Okay.
That's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
It's the
but
other ones that we want to
It doesn't stop bullets.
And this is
Okay.
$145 for each window?
Right now, that's the rough cost, okay? We are in the process of looking at multiple companies. We have one company who's really interested in doing it here, and they're trying to get us a really good price. The problems that we're also running into is some of the, you can make the film so you can have it one way where you can stand inside and look outside, but they can't look in. And what we're finding is the fire department and the police department don't like that idea. They want to be able to look inside the building. Okay, so we have to figure out whether we want to do clear plastic or not. Originally, I was thinking about making it say like Sanborn High School and put it on the window so it looks pretty, but being a safety feature. Okay, I think it's gonna end up being just a clear film.
Now, what windows are we talking about?
This is gonna be like a phased-in thing. We're gonna try to knock off, the windows that are on the main entrance doors. Actually, all the door entrances and the windows,
All the entrance, all the entry?
all the door entrances, yes. So there's, the main entrance here, the middle school entrance, the bus entrance around the corner, okay?
Roughly how many doors?
Wow, I would say it would be like 40 or 50 doors. That's a guess.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the windows immediately next to the doors. Realistically, if you want to, put security on the building, you're talking all the windows on the first floor, up to a certain height. Above that height, there's really no benefit.
The thing that I've struggled with working with the superintendent's safety advisory team is, at what point is it diminishing return? You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't think. Yeah, like at what point is it, certainly, I'm certainly comfortable with the doors and the windows in the main offices. I don't know, we need to talk about this, but Matt wants you to have a heads up, and certainly Larry's correct that that's part of the plan, we have to put it on those windows, because that's a hot spot, but the rest of the floors, I don't know.
You can't wrap the whole school in bubble wrap.
No.
Yeah, my whole thing with it too is, and I've said this to elementary parents when I was a principal when Newtown happened. I said, look, you're more likely to die driving home tonight in your car, and maybe even on an airplane, than being in a school shooting.
Right.
But if you want people to be perfectly, solidly safe, you would have to literally build a concrete wall around the school and put a bomb-proof roof on it.
It'd have to be a penitentiary.
It would have to be a penitentiary.
And watchtowers.
It would have to be a penitentiary.
Right.
I'm not saying that there aren't things that we can do to make things better,
Well, we are doing.
but we can do things to make it better. We are doing lots of things. But I do think that for certain spaces, it's a must. For other spaces, it's an ethical question, right? Or a philosophical or a diminishing return question.
Okay. And again, we're not looking for decisions tonight. We're just throwing
We're just
this out.
getting you ready for what's coming.
Geared up.
What I talked to Matt about is giving you guys heads up on what's coming up next so that you can think about them.
Yep.
Because it's really hard when we come in and just say, can you approve this?
Well, yeah, there's no time.
Not only that, but we,
Excuse me,
but we
churn.
also, we want you to churn it up and ask questions, like the email I received today with questions about certain things was fantastic. It was right on, I was already working on it, but it just validated that we're headed the right way, right? So I want you guys to have time to think about these things, and you really need to think about ethics and philosophy around some of these issues. Because some of these safety things there's the kind of, okay, the base level of this is what you really should do is just basic stuff, like strike-throughs on doors. Then there's this is a really good thing like the alert system. It could make a big difference if we ever needed it. And then there's stuff that's like, this would be really great, but it's not necessarily, the question is what's the diminishing return on the cost, the ROI? How likely is it to actually make a difference in the event of an issue? And the thing with the glass protection, I do want to say that there's another upside to that one. It prevents people breaking into the school. Because it's not just, and I'm not saying that people are going to run up to the school with a sledgehammer and smash the window, but it would, the first floor has a lot of glass. So it would be preventative in that area as well as, most people who are going to do a school shooting are going to know the school and how to get in.
Right.
We know that. It's almost always a student.
Okay, can I switch to the traffic study now?
Sure.
Yep.
Okay, so, it's been raised multiple times, by the building principal and some people related to the Kingston Police Department that we should go and look at how the traffic flows in and around the building. Because now we're gonna have
This building?
this building.
This building, when the middle school's here.
Yeah, because when the middle school comes, now we're not only gonna have the high school parents dropping their kids off, we're gonna have the middle school parents dropping their kids off. And what kind of impact that's gonna have to the main roadway out here, and whether we need to change the signage around the property, okay? So I was hoping to come tonight with a firm that could really help this out. And also, if we need to redesign some of the parking spaces, this is a civil engineering firm. Unfortunately, they don't do traffic studies, okay? So I'm gonna have to go out and get quotes and bids and come to the next meeting completely prepared to discuss the traffic study. So this is another heads up I'm gonna come and ask for a request for, to authorize changes to the building or changes really to the facility that related to the traffic study, or this is to start that process. Okay?
Yep.
That's what we got.
It does get really crazy during pickup and drop off with parents in the front of the school here.
Yeah.
The issue's gonna be timing, right, getting traffic study done, and getting, and then deciding on something, and then it's the new school year.
We don't need to have it start, done and completed by then. I think what we need to have is like middle school and high school and some idea. This is gonna get us an idea of what we need to do to make those improvements, so we can plan ahead. So we're walking to the solution, not running, okay?
How many, do you know how many additional buses are gonna be coming?
Not many.
Not many.
It's not the number of buses that's the problem, it's the parents and kids and
Okay.
staff.
Right.
So it's staff, parents, parent drop off, pick up, kids and staff parking.
Mhm.
Those things all need to be looked at. And I did ask Brian, I said, well, if the building was built for 1,100 students or 1,000 students, didn't they build ample parking?
Yeah, good
And,
question.
and he said that he was under the impression that the parking was completed at the size that it was supposed to be at the time the building was built, but I have to say myself, just driving over here in the afternoon, even without the middle school staff, it's pretty tight sometimes.
Especially if there's an event going on.
Oh, always if there's an event, that's all schools, so I don't really worry about that, I just wanted to kind of be careful to prepare, but this isn't, so like in my schema of getting this to happen, that office is first. That has to be done because I gotta be able to run the middle school.
Right.
The bathroom is second and the locker rooms are right there with the bathroom. The traffic thing, yes, I'd like to work on this and get this straightened out. I don't know if there's some way that we can have a different drop off and pick up area for the middle school. You know what I'm saying? Or,
I think they're,
This policy?
yeah.
Okay.
The transition group is planning on meeting here in about 5 minutes.
Oh,
We're
okay.
just about
Where's
ready.
policy gonna
Just
be?
about ready.
I have no idea, because it's supposed to start 8 minutes ago, I was wondering about that as well.
Policy's not until 5:30. Want me to just have a meeting in the conference room and,
Policy's at 5:30.
yep, we're only meeting for a few minutes tonight, it's okay.
Okay, I have some thoughts I'd like to share with somebody on that,
Oh, okay,
because I don't think we should move on either of the policies, GL or
we should wait,
the ethics, absolutely.
okay,
I have
We're just
huge
about
problems
ready.
with both.
Let's
We're just
finish
about
this
ready
meeting.
to adjourn.
yeah.
So before we go, I have draft plans. So this right here is the draft, they're different. I only have one copy. This is the draft plan for the bathroom. Okay,
Lockers.
this is the draft plan for
Locker renovation.
locker renovation
That's what this is.
and,
Locker renovation.
yeah, that's, okay, so I have two locker renovation, but this is the one that got approved for locker renovation. This might be, this is one that was not approved.
When you say approved, you have the permits for this?
No,
No,
the
no, no.
administrators looked at all the different
Oh,
options and
So
said that we wanted
essentially,
this one.
in this
Okay.
version right here, there's a door that goes into the team locker room
Yeah.
from in the middle of the foyer. The problem is once that door's open, you can see kids changing in there.
Okay.
So we moved that.
So it's like, no, this is not a good idea.
Right.
Okay, this one here, and we had a tour for the people on the video. We had a tour of the locker room. And
That one matches what you pointed out on the tour.
Exactly, okay? And then this right here, this is the bathroom. So the back half right here is that storage room, and here are the two emergency exits to go into that back hallway.
Right.
And right now this is janitor. We're gonna make this big enough to have a single stall bathroom.
Okay.
And that'll be accessible from the hallway for transgender or staff.
Okay? That's
All
all I
right,
got.
anything, that's it? Anybody, anything from the committee?
No.
Okay, motion to adjourn. We don't need a motion to adjourn. Let's adjourn. It is 4:58 PM.